How do you deal with disrespect? Disrespect is a common challenge that we all face in life, and it can be very upsetting and frustrating. Whether it's at work, in your personal relationships, or even from strangers, disrespect can feel like a punch to the gut. It leaves us feeling small, angry, or just plain frustrated. But what if we could learn from the ancient philosophy of Stoicism, which teaches us how to handle difficult situations with wisdom and grace? This isn't just another video. It's an invitation to reflect, participate, and share your thoughts as we go through each point. How you handle disrespect says a lot about your self-worth and emotional resilience. It's important to address it effectively, without lowering yourself to the same level of the person who's being disrespectful. In this video, we're going to explore why disrespect happens, how to recognize it, and most importantly, how to respond with confidence, calm, and dignity. So, if you've ever been on the receiving end of disrespect and wondered how to handle it without losing your cool, drop a comment below that says, "I deserve respect," to claim your determination on detaching from being affected by someone's disrespect. Let's get into it. Step 1. Keeping your cool. Disrespect can sting, but one of the most important things to remember is this. Disrespect speaks more about the person dishing it out than it does about you. It's easy to take it personally, but understanding the root of disrespect can change your perspective and help you keep your calm when faced with it. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is that we are not disturbed by events themselves, but by how we interpret them. As Epictetus famously said, people are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them. When someone disrespects you, it's not the act itself that harms you, it's your reaction to it. The truth is, the disrespectful behavior is a reflection of their own issues, whether it's insecurity, frustration, or a lack of emotional awareness, not a reflection of your worth. Many times, disrespect comes from someone feeling insecure or trying to assert control. They may belittle others to feel more powerful or to elevate their own self-esteem. For example, a boss might talk down to an employee not because the employee has done something wrong, but because the boss is insecure in their own position. A person's need to disrespect others often stems from their own feelings of inadequacy, and when you understand this, it becomes easier to not take their behavior personally. Another common cause of disrespect is a lack of emotional awareness. Some people are simply not tuned into how their words or actions affect others. They might not even realize the hurt they're causing, not because they intend to harm, but because they lack the emotional intelligence to recognize their impact. This doesn't make their actions acceptable, but understanding that their disrespect is rooted in thoughtlessness rather than malice can help you keep your cool. The Stoics teach that while we can't control how others behave, we can control how we respond. When you're faced with disrespect, remind yourself that their actions are not a reflection of your value. Disrespect is a reflection of their inner struggles, whether it's insecurity, stress, or emotional blindness. By keeping this perspective, you can protect your peace of mind and avoid letting their behavior affect your emotional state. Step 2. Respond in a way that's consistent with your values. This is where the real strength comes in. Not just staying calm, but responding in a way that aligns with who you are and what you stand for. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to snap back, defend yourself, or even retaliate. It's natural to want to react when you feel wronged, but Stoicism reminds us that our responses are where our true power lies. The question isn't just what happens to you, but how you choose to respond. In moments of disrespect, we have the chance to live out our values rather than reacting impulsively. Imagine the situation as a test of your character. Instead of reacting emotionally, take a moment to pause and reflect. What kind of person do I want to be? Your response to disrespect can either fuel negativity or reflect the higher virtues you aim to embody, like patience, kindness, or integrity. Responding in line with your values doesn't mean allowing yourself to be walked over. It means standing up for yourself with dignity and grace. For example, if one of your core values is respect, then responding to disrespect with more disrespect only takes you further from who you want to be. Instead, you can choose to respond calmly, asserting yourself without lowering yourself to their level. This might look like calmly stating, "I understand you're upset, but I don't appreciate being spoken to in that way," or simply walking away from the situation if it's not worth engaging further. By responding with thoughtfulness and self-control, you maintain your own sense of dignity and integrity. The Stoics believed that our actions should reflect our highest virtues. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, don't let their behavior drag you down. Rise above it by staying true to who you are. It's also worth considering the long-term impact of how you handle disrespect. If you react impulsively, you may later regret acting in a way that doesn't align with your values. But if you respond thoughtfully and with integrity, you'll feel proud of how you handled the situation, knowing you stayed true to yourself. This is not about letting others get away with mistreating you. It's about protecting your peace and ensuring that your actions reflect the person you aspire to be. When faced with disrespect, take a deep breath and ask yourself, how can I respond in a way that reflects my core values? Whether it's patience, self-respect, or compassion, let those values guide your response. By doing so, you not only handle the situation with grace, but you also reinforce the type of person you're becoming. A person grounded in their principles, who remains calm and centered even in the face of disrespect. So the next time someone disrespects you, don't let it pull you out of alignment with your values. Instead, let it be an opportunity to demonstrate your strength of character and commitment to living virtuously. It's in these moments that you prove to yourself and to others what you truly stand for. Step 3. Setting boundaries. After mastering how to keep your cool and responding in line with your values, the next vital step in dealing with disrespect is setting clear boundaries. Boundaries aren't just about protecting yourself, they're also a way of communicating to others how you expect to be treated. When you set boundaries, you're sending a message that while you can handle disrespect gracefully, you won't tolerate it in the long run. Let's start with the workplace. Imagine a situation where a colleague or even your boss consistently speaks down to you or dismisses your ideas during meetings. Setting a boundary in this scenario might involve a calm but firm conversation where you express that while you value constructive feedback, the disrespectful tone or dismissive behavior isn't acceptable. You could say something like, "I value constructive feedback, but I don't appreciate being spoken to in a dismissive way. I'd like for us to communicate respectfully so we can create a more effective working relationship." This approach doesn't accuse but clearly defines how you expect to be spoken to. In romantic relationships, disrespect can sometimes appear as dismissive comments, ignoring your needs, or even passive-aggressive behavior. Addressing this kind of behavior requires sensitivity, but also directness. You might say, "I understand we're both stressed, but the way you spoke to me earlier didn't feel respectful. I need us to communicate without raising our voices or making hurtful comments." Or, "I'm happy to have this conversation, but I won't continue if it escalates to yelling." This not only acknowledges the current situation, but sets a clear expectation for how you want future interactions to look, ensuring that your partner knows the limits of what you'll accept in your relationship. Setting boundaries with family can be particularly tough. Family members may criticize your life choices or cross personal boundaries, sometimes without even realizing it. In these situations, it's crucial to communicate how you feel without escalating tension. For example, if a family member keeps making unwelcome comments about your decisions, you could say, "I appreciate your concern, but I'm making choices that work best for me. I need you to respect my decisions, or we'll need to have fewer conversations about this topic." This approach sets a firm boundary while maintaining respect for the relationship. Boundaries also come into play with friendships, especially when friends consistently disregard your time, feelings, or opinions. Let's say a friend often cancels plans last minute, leaving you feeling undervalued. A calm boundary could sound like, "I really enjoy our time together, but when plans get cancelled last minute, it makes me feel like my time isn't valued. It would mean a lot if you could give me more notice in the future." This sets an expectation without being confrontational, showing your friend that while you value them, you also value your time. Even online, boundaries are essential. If someone is disrespectful through social media, whether through inappropriate messages or rude comments, you can address it directly or simply block them. For example, you might say, "I'm not okay with being spoken to like this. If it continues, I will have to block you from my social media. This sets a firm, clear boundary, communicating that you won't tolerate disrespect, even in digital spaces. The most important thing about setting boundaries is ensuring that they are respected. It's not enough to just express them. You have to follow through. If someone continues to cross the line after you've communicated your boundary, it's essential to implement the consequences you've outlined. Whether that means limiting your interactions or removing yourself from the situation entirely, setting boundaries is about reinforcing your self-respect. Remember, setting boundaries isn't about confrontation. It's about clarity. It's about standing firm in your expectations for how you deserve to be treated while maintaining respect and calmness. Boundaries help you protect your emotional well-being and teach others that respect is not optional. With practice, setting boundaries becomes not only easier, but an essential part of maintaining healthy, respectful relationships. Step 4. Don't take it personally. This step is about shifting your mindset and detaching emotionally from the disrespectful behavior of others, while still maintaining your self-respect and dignity. It's not about simply staying calm in the moment. It's about rewiring the way you interpret disrespect, so it no longer affects your sense of self-worth. When someone disrespects you, the natural reaction is to internalize it, to feel hurt, or even to question yourself. But what if you stopped seeing their behavior as a personal attack, and instead recognized it for what it often is, a reflection of them and not you? The key here is realizing that the way people treat you is usually a projection of their own struggles. Whether it's insecurity, frustration, or their own unresolved issues, their behavior is not a mirror of your worth. For example, if a coworker is dismissive of your ideas, it's easy to think, they don't respect me. Maybe my ideas aren't good enough. But in reality, their dismissal might come from their own insecurity, jealousy, or need to assert dominance. It has far more to do with them than with the quality of your ideas or who you are as a person. What makes this step different from simply keeping your cool is the emotional distance you create between their actions and your sense of self. Instead of focusing on staying calm in the moment, you're working on not absorbing their negativity at all. You shift from reacting to reflecting. You see their disrespect as part of their world, not yours, and you detach emotionally from their behavior, preventing it from shaking your confidence or your identity. This isn't about indifference or ignoring the disrespect. It's about putting a mental and emotional barrier between you and their actions. You acknowledge what's happening, you respond appropriately if needed, but you don't let it get under your skin or question your own value. For example, in a relationship, if your partner makes a hurtful comment during an argument, it can sting deeply. But instead of letting that comment fester inside you, you might recognize that it was said in the heat of the moment, rooted in their frustration and doesn't reflect their true feelings about you or your value. You still address the behavior, but you don't let it erode your self-worth. This is where detachment plays a vital role. The Stoics often spoke about external events, things beyond our control, and the importance of not letting those events affect our inner peace. Disrespect from others is one of those external events. You can't control how people behave, but you can control how much you allow their behavior to affect you. Taking disrespect personally gives their actions power over you. By choosing not to take it personally, you reclaim that power, maintaining your emotional equilibrium and self-assurance. Think about it. How often has someone's careless or rude comment ruined your day, even though it had nothing to do with you? Maybe it was a passerby, a colleague, or even a close friend who made an offhand remark that stayed with you long after the conversation ended. But when you step back and consider that their behavior was likely tied to something in their life, stress, frustration, insecurity, it becomes clear that it wasn't really about you at all. The practice of not taking things personally is about preserving your mental and emotional energy. You stop carrying around other people's baggage. This doesn't mean you ignore it when someone crosses the line, but rather, you choose not to let it impact how you see yourself. You still set boundaries, but without internalizing the disrespect. You can say, "That comment was hurtful, but I'm not going to let it define how I see myself." You've made it halfway through this video, and it seems like it's resonating with you. If these strategies are helping, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can keep getting content that helps you stand up for yourself handle challenges, and grow stronger. Your support means a lot, and subscribing helps us reach even more people who need this message. Step 5. Choose your battles wisely. We've all been there, stuck in traffic. A car cuts you off and frustration boils up inside. It's tempting to honk the horn or throw an angry glance their way. You feel wronged, and in that moment, you're ready to fight. But ask yourself, is this really worth your energy? Or in relationships, it's tempting to fight over every slight or mistake, especially when emotions are running high. But here's a truth most of us don't want to admit. Not every issue needs to be fought over. Constantly picking battles can drain the emotional energy out of your relationship, leaving you both feeling exhausted and resentful. You might think, if I don't bring it up, I'm letting them win. But is winning even the point? Or is the real goal maintaining peace and fostering growth together? Picture this. Your partner forgets to text you when they said they would. You've had a stressful day, and the thought of them being inattentive stings. You're ready to call them out on it, maybe even go into full-on confrontation mode. But pause for a second. Ask yourself, will this argument actually improve the relationship? Or is it just an outlet for your frustration? Will it matter in an hour, a week, or in the bigger picture? The truth is, in long-term relationships, choosing your battles isn't about letting things slide or losing. It's about preserving your emotional energy for the moments that truly matter. Those big conversations about trust, respect, or shared goals that actually shape the future of your relationship. Fighting over every single mistake your partner makes won't bring you closer. In fact, it might push you further apart. Is an argument about dirty socks really worth the emotional strain it'll put on both of you? Choosing your battles wisely is a lesson we often learn the hard way, but it's one of the most valuable skills for maintaining peace and focus in a chaotic world. There are countless situations in daily life where we are tempted to react impulsively, pouring our energy into conflicts that ultimately don't serve us. Take a common work scenario. A colleague sends you a passive-aggressive email, subtly blaming you for something that wasn't your fault. Your instinct might be to fire back immediately, defending yourself and maybe even throwing a jab of your own. But before you respond, pause. What are you really gaining from this battle? Will an angry reply fix the issue, or will it escalate into more tension and stress? In moments like these, it helps to take a step back and reflect on what really matters. Is this a hill worth dying on, or can you save your energy for more important tasks? Stoicism teaches us to distinguish between things we can control and things we cannot. In the case of your colleague, you can control how you respond, but you can't control their tone or attitude. By recognizing this, you can decide whether it's worth your time to engage or simply let it go. Imagine if you spent your whole day fighting every battle that came your way, getting into arguments on social media, reacting to every minor inconvenience, or obsessing over small workplace grievances. By the end of the day, you'd be mentally and emotionally drained. You'd have little energy left for the things that truly matter, like working on your personal goals, nurturing relationships, or simply enjoying some peace of mind. Think of your energy as a limited resource. If you waste it on battles that don't move you forward, you're left with less for the ones that do. The Stoic way is to conserve your energy for the challenges that really matter, the ones that bring you closer to your long-term goals, deepen your relationships, or help you grow as a person. Choosing your battles wisely isn't about avoiding conflict altogether. It's about knowing when to engage and when to let go. It's about focusing your energy on what you can control and what will truly make a difference in your life. The next time you feel yourself getting pulled into a conflict, pause and ask, is this really worth it? Step 6. Know when to walk away. One of the most empowering things you can do in the face of disrespect is simply to walk away. Not every situation needs to be resolved through confrontation, and sometimes the best response is to remove yourself from the environment altogether. In any relationship, there's a fine line between choosing your battles wisely and knowing when to walk away altogether. While it's important to pick your battles and not engage in every minor conflict, there are moments when you must recognize that walking away is the strongest and healthiest choice you can make, when the disrespect is no longer occasional, but consistent. When it's not about a one-off bad day, but a pattern of behavior that erodes your self-respect. That's when the conversation shifts from choosing your battles to knowing when it's time to walk away. Walking away isn't about giving up. It's about recognizing that some battles aren't worth fighting because the other person isn't playing fair. It's about valuing yourself enough to refuse to tolerate continuous disrespect. For example, if you're in a romantic relationship where disrespect has become the norm, whether it's through belittling comments, dismissiveness, or outright hostility, choosing your battles can only get you so far. You might let things slide once or twice, but when it becomes clear that the other person isn't willing to change or respect your boundaries, it's no longer about picking your fights. It's about your self-worth and emotional well-being. Walking away doesn't mean you didn't care about the relationship or that you're avoiding conflict. In fact, walking away from consistent disrespect is one of the most courageous things you can do. It shows that you respect yourself enough not to stay in a situation where your value isn't recognized. You're saying, "I deserve better," and that's an incredibly powerful statement. The same applies in professional settings. If you have a boss or colleague who consistently undermines or disrespects you, at some point, it's worth considering whether staying in that environment is truly serving you. Sure, you can address it a few times, set boundaries and choose your battles. But if the disrespect continues and nothing changes, walking away may be the only way to protect your mental and emotional health. The key difference between choosing your battles and walking away is this. Choosing your battles is about managing the day-to-day irritations and conflicts that naturally arise in relationships. Walking away is about knowing when the disrespect has become so pervasive that staying is no longer an option. Walking away isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength and self-respect. It means you're no longer willing to engage in toxic behavior, and you refuse to allow someone else's actions to chip away at your confidence, happiness, and peace of mind. If the person you're dealing with is unwilling to change or acknowledge their behavior, walking away becomes the healthiest and sometimes the only choice. Step 7. Focus on the behavior, not the person. In moments of conflict or disrespect, it's easy to take things personally. Someone criticizes you, speaks harshly, or makes a hurtful comment, and your instinct might be to feel personally attacked. However, if your goal is to resolve the situation or stand up for yourself without escalating tension, it's important to focus on the behavior, not the person. Let's say you have a friend who often cancels plans at the last minute. It's frustrating and might make you feel like they don't value your time or friendship. If you approach them and say, "You're unreliable and never stick to plans," they're likely to feel defensive. This shifts the conversation from the behavior, canceling plans, to an attack on their character, which makes it harder to resolve the issue. Instead, you can focus on the behavior by saying, "When plans are cancelled at the last minute, it feels like my time isn't being considered and it can be disappointing. Can we work on being more consistent or giving each other more notice?" This approach addresses the specific action that's causing the problem without turning it into a personal attack. By focusing on behavior, you're more likely to have a productive conversation and reach a solution. When you zero in on the action and not the person, you're keeping the issue specific and manageable. You're not attacking the other person's character, but highlighting something they can change. This makes them more receptive to the feedback and also allows you to stay calm and constructive in addressing the issue. When people feel attacked on a personal level, they often become defensive. If you say, "You're so unreliable," their focus shifts to defending their character rather than addressing the behavior that's bothering you. However, by sticking to the specific action, canceling plans without notice, you keep the conversation about something objective and changeable. Second, this approach encourages positive change without making the person feel blamed. In a professional setting, for instance, imagine a colleague who frequently misses deadlines. Instead of saying, "You're always behind on your work," you can say, "I've noticed that deadlines have been missed recently, and it's impacting the team's progress. Can we talk about how we can better meet our goals going forward?" This shifts the conversation towards solutions and improvement, rather than focusing on their perceived flaws. By focusing on behavior, you also avoid letting emotions control your response. You can communicate your concerns clearly without making the other person feel personally attacked. In doing so, you foster an atmosphere of understanding and cooperation. making it easier to resolve the issue and maintain a healthy relationship, whether personal or professional. Step 8. Building emotional resilience to handle disrespect. Finally, one of the most important ways to handle disrespect is by building your own emotional resilience. Disrespect is inevitable at some point in life, but how you respond to it determines its impact on you. The more secure you are in your sense of self-worth, the less likely you are to be shaken by disrespect. Work on building your confidence and self-esteem so that when someone disrespects you, you don't internalize their words or actions. This could involve affirming your strengths, surrounding yourself with supportive people, or engaging in activities that make you feel accomplished and valued. The more you believe in your own worth, the less power disrespectful behavior will have over you. When you're confronted with disrespect, staying grounded in your values can help you respond in a way that aligns with who you are. If kindness, respect, and integrity are important to you, let those values guide your response, even if the other person isn't living up to them. By staying true to your values, you protect your inner peace and prevent yourself from being dragged down by negativity. Dealing with disrespect is never easy, but how you respond to it defines the outcome. It's about choosing confidence, grace, and self-respect over impulsive reactions. Disrespect can stir up powerful emotions, but by pausing, reflecting, and responding calmly, you show that you are in control of the situation, and most importantly, of yourself. Instead of letting someone's negativity dictate your behavior, you can decide to protect your peace, assert your boundaries, and walk away when necessary. It's essential to remember that disrespect often reflects more about the other person than it does about you. By not taking it personally and responding thoughtfully, you can maintain your dignity and self-worth. Ultimately, setting boundaries, practicing emotional resilience, and maintaining a calm, confident demeanor are your best tools for dealing with disrespect. You don't need to match their energy. You can rise above it. Thank you so much for watching. If this video about handling disrespect resonated with you, let's keep the conversation going. Drop a comment below that says, "I deserve respect," and let's support each other in standing up for ourselves with dignity. If you found these strategies helpful, don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on more content like this. And of course, share your own experiences. What's your go-to way of handling disrespect? Let's continue this dialogue, and remember, you deserve nothing less than respect in every part of your life. See you in the next video, and as always, stay stoic.